I got this work colleague. His name's Greg. He's a nightmare. He tries to just belittle everybody because he's been there the longest. But what do we have in our story today? That's right, another lunch thief. Not just Greg going to the limits of pushing people's buttons every day, but it turns out he's a good-for-nothing, rotten lunch thief. And if you guys have been part of Mr. Reddito's Revenge channel for some time, you know how much I love a lunch thief, because the karma that comes with that is always ridiculous. Well, today is no different, and you won't believe how we deal with Greg, lunch thief number 4 on the channel.
Hey there. So, I've been here for a while, but finally I just felt the need to ask the age-old question. Am I the a-hole? A little background. I'm a 24-year-old guy, and I recently landed a new job at this marketing firm in the city. Super stoked, you know? The adult life is finally coming together, or so I thought. Honestly, the first few weeks were really cool. I've been trying to understand the workflow, the do's, the don'ts, the coffee machine. Seriously, why are office coffee machines so confusing and outdated? I digress. The team I work with, rad. They're a fun bunch, mostly in their late 20s to early 30s. We've got Tyler, who's obsessed with Pokemon cards. I crap you not, he's got a binder full in his drawer. Myra, who's low-key a TikTok star on the side. Except there's this one guy. He sits at the far end of the office, kinda isolated from the rest of us. I'll call him Greg, for the sake of the story. Greg's a tall, lanky dude, and gray hair that's surprising for someone who's apparently only in his 30s. The dude's always in these drab, gray suits that give off a major funeral director vibe, but hey, it's not his fashion sense that's bothering me. Since day one, something about Greg just felt off. He doesn't really talk much, which is totally fine. I respect introverts, but every time I'd catch a glimpse of him, it seemed like he was watching me. And I don't mean a casual glance, it was like he was actually studying me. One day I was working late, trying to meet this deadline, headphones on, and vibing to some Post Malone. Suddenly I felt a cold draft. I looked up and there was Greg right next to my desk, just staring at me. Bro, I almost knocked over my coffee. He then said, "You shouldn't drink coffee this late. It's not good for your health." And then he just walked away. I mean, thanks for the concern, but dude, personal space? But it doesn't end there. A week later, we all went out for drinks after work and, standard newbie initiation stuff. Everyone's having a good time, and guess what? Even Greg showed up. I figured maybe he's not so bad after all. Until, of course, I overheard him talking to Tyler. I was at the bar waiting for my drink, and I heard Greg say, "Yeah, you know that new kid? Don't you find it odd how he fits in so quickly?" "Oh, not really, man. He seems pretty cool." "Oh, there's always more than meets the eye." He then glanced in my direction with this weird smirk. The weirdest incident, though? Lunch break. I'd been chit-chatting with Maria about her latest TikTok video, and I noticed my sandwich was gone. Greg, who was just sitting a few tables away, was something that looked just suspiciously like my sandwich half-eaten. I immediately get up to check my lunch, and sure enough, my sandwich is gone. I went over, trying to keep it light, and I said, "Hey man, I think you might have made a mistake. That's my sandwich." He stared at me while taking another big bite. It's just a sandwich. Let it go." Well, I was dumbfounded, like, what even? Maria later told me that Greg has always been a bit eccentric, but she'd never seen anything like that. So now I've started trying to avoid Greg. It's not like I'm super obvious about it, but I'm not exactly going out of my way to make small talk either. Most of my colleagues seem to get it. They say that Greg has been with the company for years and he's just, quote, misunderstood. I don't know, man. I've got this gut feeling that there's something off about Greg, but maybe I'm just being paranoid. I don't want to be that guy who judges somebody without knowing their story. Still, can't shake the feeling that something is up. What's up, everybody? I hope you're enjoying today's story. If this guy Greg is creeping you out, you've seen nothing yet. If you guys have ever had somebody like Greg at your workplace, let me know the story down below in the comment section. I want to hear all the juice. Here's the next update. Update number 1. Let's jump into it. Hey everyone, back again. It's been a couple of weeks since my last update, and honestly, I did not expect to be back here with an update, but damn, things have gotten weird. So picking up from where I left off, I'd been doing my best to give Greg a wide berth, focusing on my task, chatting with the crew, and basically just trying to find my groove. But it seems like Greg had other plans. It started off small. I noticed a couple of my flies going missing from the desk. Important stuff I needed for projects. First I thought it was just me being forgetful, misplacing things in a rush of the workday. I even jokingly blamed my mom. Because, she has genes where she would lose stuff. Or my 3-year-old's mischievousness just rubbing off on me. I guess, but then it happened repeatedly, right? The breaking point, I had this major presentation to prepare for. I'd spent hours on it. Graphics, stats, you name it. I had it all on a USB drive, which I'd left on my desk in a drawer. It's 2023. Who still uses USB, right? But hey, old habits die hard. The morning of the presentation, I reached for my USB. Gone, of course. Panic mode set in, and I retraced my steps, asking around, but nada. Tyler even joked about checking the quote lost and found box as I'm frantically searching. Guess who strolls in looking all smug? Greg. Now here's where it gets super weird. He comes over, leans in real close and whispers, "You should always back up your work. Never know what could happen." I felt a cold chill run down my spine. This wasn't a coincidence, was it? But before I could say anything, he sauntered off, leaving me in this weird form of anxiety and confusion. Myra, being the angel that she is, helped me piece together bits of my presentation, but it was not the same. My manager was not pleased, and I ended up having to redo the whole thing. Great! Just what I needed on top of adjusting to a new job. A couple days later, Tyler pulled me aside. Apparently, he'd overheard Greg talking about another colleague. Greg was insinuating that I was careless and not fit for the role. Well, that stung a bit. I've always prided myself on my work ethic, and to have somebody tarnish my reputation like that? Not cool, man! I tried talking to HR, hoping they might offer some insight or help, but without any evidence, I was told there wasn't much that they could do. But maybe talk to them. I declined because I didn't want him knowing I went to HR about the issue. They advised me to document any future odd behaviors and keep them updated if the problem persists. But honestly, the thought of keeping a quote Greg journal freaked me out even more. It's getting to the point where I'm dreading coming to work, not because of the job per se or my coworkers, but because of Greg. I've tried to be professional, keep my head down, and get on with things, but with Greg constantly looming, it feels like I'm in some sort of psychological thriller. I've started wondering if it's worth looking for another job. But then again, the money in it is really good here. I've got to figure out what's Greg's deal. Why is he targeting me? I've only been here for a short while, and I've done nothing to provoke this. I hate being in this position. Do I confront him? Do I try to get evidence of his actions? Still, I have no idea why Greg's acting this way. Maybe I'm just overthinking this. What should I do? Any advice would be appreciated. Thank you. What's up, guys? I want to review one of the comments before we hop into update 2. This comment comes from a concerned reader. OP, you got to be kidding me. It's so blaringly obvious that Greg was the one who took your USB drive. Just the fact that he walked in and whispered that so-called line to you about, "It's good to back up your stuff," that's just so creepy. Anyways, I hope you get to the bottom of this, but hey, just a little bit of advice. If you get some sort of revenge on Greg, make sure, and I say make sure because this Greg sounds like the type of guy who would try this, do not fall for a trap. He's probably trying to get you to retaliate and is one step ahead of you and could land yourself in HR. Anyways, best of luck to you. Update number 2. Hey again, everyone. It's been a few weeks since I've last posted about the Greg situation. First off, thanks for the advice and kind words on my last update. They meant a lot. Now, strap in, because things just took a turn. The last weeks have been a blend of up and downs. The good, I've continued to bond with my colleagues. Tyler and I even had a mini LAN party one weekend. A throwback to the college days. Myra's TikTok, man, she's hilarious. I even made a guest appearance in one of her skits. But the bad, yeah, you guessed it, Greg. Despite my best efforts to steer clear and keep my nose to a grindstone, he still found ways to get under my skin. Missing files, whispered rumors, weird glances, I tried shaking it off, convincing myself that maybe it's all in my head. Then it happened. The confrontation I had not anticipated. I was in the break room grabbing a quick coffee. As I reached for the creamer, I felt somebody's presence behind me. Turning around, there was Greg, blocking my exit, eyes fixed intently on mine. Taking a deep breath, I decided to bite the bullet, and I said, "Look, Greg." I started trying to keep my voice steady. "What's your deal? Why are you doing this? Did I do something to offend you?"
You seriously don't get it? Ever since you strolled in here on your first day acting all high and mighty, like you knew everything and everyone, it irked me. You just think because you're young and fresh you can take over?
Dude, I just came here to work and be a part of the team. I don't know why you're getting these ideas.
You might have everyone else fooled, but not me. I've seen people like you come and go. You won't last.
I could feel my heart rate picking up. I have no idea what you're talking about, Greg. I've tried to be professional and respectful, even when you've been anything but. All I want is to do my job and get along.
Good luck with that.
I was left shaken. Coffee, forgotten about, turned cold. I headed straight to my desk. My head was buzzing. I remembered the HR suggestion of documenting these incidents, so I grabbed a notebook and began jotting down our exchange. But as I wrote, anger bubbled up inside of me. Why was I letting this guy get to me? Why would I just sit here playing defense? In a fit of rage, I tore the pages I've just written on and crumpled them. I was done being the victim. Greg wanted a rivalry, fine. But I wasn't going to play by his twisted rules. That drive home that evening was an absolute blur. My knuckles were white on the steering wheel, every inch of me seething with a mix of anger and determination. Why should I continue to be on the receiving end of Greg's mind games? I needed to take matters into my own hands, to make him understand that he could not just walk all over me. The idea of retaliation was not my style, but the more I thought about it, the more tempting it became. As I pulled into my driveway, I realized I've driven the entire way home on autopilot. My mind raced with the thought of payback. I needed a plan. Well, Greg had thrown down the gauntlet, and while I wasn't one for conflict, I wasn't about to let him continue to wreak havoc upon my life. The night was long, my thoughts consumed by potential scenarios and plans, but one thing was clear. I was not going down without a fight. Update number 3. Hey guys, back with another update for you. If you remember where I left off last time, I was pretty fired up about the whole Greg situation. I mean, it's been weeks, and instead of things settling down, they've escalated. Taking matters into my own hands isn't something I usually resort to. But Greg, man, he'd push me to the absolute breaking point. After the confrontation in the break room, I was done being the passive noob. Done being pushed around. It started with an idea, sort of a fantasy. One of the thoughts you have when you're lying in bed, fuming, but you never actually act on it, except this time, I was ready to make it a reality. One thing I noticed was Greg's penchant for swiping other people's lunches. Myra had complained about it, and Tyler had jokingly labeled his food to ward off the, quote, office thief. And I'd even caught Greg once sneaking a bite out of somebody's burrito. He had this sense of entitlement, like whatever was in the fridge was fair game, and so the idea began to take shape. Now, I live in a house with a yard, and one of the delightful things about evenings there is the swarm of bugs drawn to the backyard light. Well, among those critters, cockroaches. Yep, those creepy crawlies that you dread finding in your kitchen. So one evening, after getting a bit of liquid courage in me, I decided to execute my plan. I put on a glove and collected a bunch of dead cockroaches. It sounds gross, trust me, but anger and desire for revenge can make you do some nasty stuff. The next morning, I prepared a sandwich. Turkey, lettuce, mayo, and between the layers, a generous helping of squished cockroaches. I carefully placed it into a container, labeled it with my name just so there's no confusion, and headed to work. As the lunch hour approached, my heart was racing. This was it, the moment of reckoning. Would Greg take a bite? Well, I waited, hidden behind a cubicle wall, peeking occasionally to get food off the break room. I watched as Greg entered, rummaged through the fridge, and my heart skipped a beat when he picked up my lunch pail. He took it to the table unsuspecting and took a big old bite. The reaction was immediate, the look of confusion followed by disgust and then the loud piercing yelp. Everybody in the vicinity literally turned their attention to Greg, who was now spitting out bits of sandwich with his face contorted in horror. I could not contain myself any longer. Walking over, feigning surprise, I said, "Oh man, Greg, you took my sandwich. I was trying this new exotic filling. Did not expect roaches in there, did you?" The room erupted with laughter and gasping. Well, Myra looked both horrified and impressed, while Tyler was doubling over trying to contain his laughter. Greg, face red and eyes burning with fury, stared at me, finally realizing that he's been played. You did this." Hey, shouldn't take someone's lunch, right? Maybe next time you'll think twice." He stormed out of the break room, and the atmosphere quickly turned from tense to celebratory. It felt like a weight had been lifted. Sure, my method was unorthodox and gross, but it worked. Greg had been put in his place, and I'd reclaimed some of my dignity. As the day went on, the adrenaline began to wear off, and all I could think of was how Greg was such a jerk, but did I go too far? Final updates. Alright guys, it's me again. After the incident in the break room, word spread like wildfire. Even those who were not really present during the Roach revelation had heard about it at the end of the day. Most reactions range from a simple chuckle to admiration for finally putting Greg in his place. However, as you might have guessed, not everybody was laughing. A few days ago, I got called into the HR office. My heart raced as I walked in, seeing both Greg and the HR director, Miss Lane, right there waiting for me. "Take a seat. We've heard some concerning reports about an incident involving a sandwich. Care to explain?" Okay, well, I had no choice. Should I come clean and accept whatever consequence came my way or play it smart? And given the position I was in, smart was the only option, so I cleared my throat. Well, I'd recently read about the benefits of an insect-based diet. It's supposed to be sustainable, high in protein, all that. I thought I'd give it a try, but then Greg just took my sandwich from the fridge. It was labeled and everything. It was never meant for him. Greg looked angry and embarrassed, and he interjected by saying,
"You expect me to believe that? You knew I'd take it."
"Greg, if you had not taken a lunch that did not belong to you, this would not have happened. While it's an unusual dietary choice, it's no excuse for creating a hostile environment. I understand, and I genuinely did not expect him to take it. I just wanted to try something new." Miss Lane sighed, clearly not enjoying the position she was in. Given the circumstances, we'll be addressing the issue of stealing lunches with Greg. As for you, she paused, looking me in the eyes, I'd recommend making your conventional dietary choices while at work, at least for a while. After our talk with HR, things around the office started to shift. Greg kept his distance, no longer shooting daggers in, my direction. The rest of the team, while initially cheering me on, began to move past the incident. The Roach Sandwich story became a legend of sorts. Something just to laugh about during Friday happy hours. But here's the thing. Yes, Greg has been a pain, and yes, he had it coming. But had I taken things too far? So to all of you out there, I've got to ask, am I the jerk for serving up some insect-infused karma? Let me know your thoughts. Comment number 1. Dude, I was laughing my butt off reading this. I can't believe HR bought the whole insect diet. That's straight gold. Way to think on your feet, OP. In my eyes, not the a-hole. If Greg did not have a history of stealing lunches, he would not have ended up in the situation. Maybe next time he'll think twice before swiping somebody's food. Comment number 2. Oh, this gave me flashbacks to my first job out of college. Office drama can be intense, honestly. I think Greg had it coming. Stealing lunches is such a basic violation of trust. Though, the Roach Sandwich might have been a bit much. He learned his lesson, did he not? Not the a-hole, but maybe let the pranks cool down now, eh? Comment number 3. You're certainly creative, I'll give you that, OP, but in my humble opinion, you are the a-hole. Greg's behavior was childish, but using real cockroaches, that's over the line. You could have got him sick. There's more mature ways to handle workplace issues. As somebody who's been in the workforce for a while, trust me when I say this. These pranks have a way of coming back around, so tread carefully. Final comment. The Foleys of youth. Reminds me of some office antics back in the day, though not quite. Crunchy. Not the a-hole, mainly because Greg started the whole lunch thieving routine. He needed to be taught a lesson, and besides the stealing of lunch, he's still just been a complete jerk. That being said, be careful. These stories become some sort of office legends, and you don't want to be remembered as the roach guy in your professional life. Just some food for thought. No pun intended.
Well, to be honest with you, this one is a little more difficult to break down than the typical lunch thief story that you see on Mr. Reddito's Revenge. And why do I say that? Well, we've dealt with hot peppers, we've dealt with a lot of peanut butter and jelly and one sandwich, but today's story is a little different because, in my opinion, I don't think OP did anything wrong because at the end of the day, it was his sandwich, but I have to point out one of the comments that said, this cockroach sandwich could have actually really gotten Greg sick, and that's the one point I agree with. I mean, we know how disgusting cockroaches are. Could you imagine ingesting hundreds of grinded up cockroaches in your sandwich? Yes, I'm not saying Greg did not deserve it, because everybody knows how much I hate a lunch thief. But at the same time, I'm just looking out for OP because it could have been detrimental. OP could have got fired. But luckily for OP is a quick thinker and stated, no, I'm trying a new dietary restriction and it's an insect diet. A lot of countries eat insects and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. So guys, knowing that information, let me know. Is OP considered the jerk? Or is OP going too far by making a cockroach sandwich? Let me know, guys. Drop your comments down below. My name's Mr. Reddito, and this is Mr. Reddito's Revenge channel. So if you want daily revenge stories, you're gonna want to hit that subscribe button. I'll see you tomorrow. Remember, it's cool to be kind. Peace.